Hey, here's the plan. Today I'm going to talk about Thresh. I'm going to give you a rundown on who he is, how the card works, and give you a quick rundown as well on a few decks that you can use him in. Thresh is my second favorite champion in the Runeterra universe, probably just behind Wukong, but because Riot hasn't moved the Monkey King into Runeterra yet, Thresh takes the top spot. Friendship ended with Wukong. Thresh is my new best friend. I'm also going to be using the new video chapters feature. So if you go to the timeline, you'll see it's like all broken up. You'll be able to skip to the section of the video that you want to see. So if you don't care about lore, you can skip straight to the guide. Or, maybe you've played Thresh for a while, you're just looking for something to watch, you can just watch the lore instead. Before we crack into it though, guys, I put a heap of effort in these videos. If you want to see more like it, let me know in the comments, leave a like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Other than that, let's just crack into it. Let's get started with Thresh. So, who is Thresh? Thresh is a terrifying green spectre from the Shadow Isles. He's got these three kind of like bone tendrils that come off of his head, and he's never seen without his iconic hook and lantern, both of which are attached to him by chains, being chain warden. In League, Thresh has 10 different skins. 4 of which are legacy variants, and I think he's got like 8 chromas as well. So you can dress him up a fair bit, and he's got a lot of really cool skins as well. Thresh has arguably some of the coolest in the game. Runeterra hasn't found a way, or they haven't implemented a way to use skins, but I'm not going to put it past Riot to implement it somehow, like maybe in one of the events, like the Harrowing or something like that. In Runeterra, his base card is him investigating some ruins, and then he's got Senna, who's hiding from him in the first one. In the leveled up card art, he's already got his hook into someone, and I think he's pulling himself towards them, because that's kind of how his Q works in League. That's not all. If you're paying close attention, you'll notice he's got 3 keys in the first card art, and then he's got 2 in the second card art. The key that's in the first art that's missing in the second one is actually in the art for the Mage Seeker Conservator. So, fun fact, that's where the key went. Thresh has also been around forever, both in-game and like in the lore. So he's got voice lines for practically everybody. A good majority of the voice lines in Runeterra have just been lifted from League. So he's got special interactions with most of the other champions.
Hurry, Lucian. Perhaps you can still save her.
I'm gonna kill you. The heart is the strongest muscle.
I'll enjoy breaking yours.
So, what does happen to us when we die?
I'll tell you when you're taller.
Out of all of them, my favorite probably is Sinister Poro, though.
We'll hire anyone these days.
When I first went to make this video, I thought I knew what Thresh's lore was. I'd played a heap of Thresh back when I used to play League regularly, and I remember him, like, he's a sadistic, cunning, infamous spirit that basically tortures people, and not in the usual, like, ouch my fingernails kind of way, in the, like, mental torture sort of side of things. It's kind of like the same thing that my chat does to me whenever we have song request streams. Hey, chat, this is a Nightcore remix of a French cover of Despacito. Back when I used to play Thresh regularly, back in my day, Thresh was a jailer from centuries ago that would, torture people, predominantly with chains. The chains thing is like a repeating thing. You're going to see that come up a lot. And then there is this prison riot at the prison that he works at. All the people escape, and they end up hanging Thresh with his own chains, and then he's a spirit now. And he wanders the world and collects souls in his lantern. It's not the most fleshed out background, but I mean, hey, it worked, right? In the new lore, they went to like a whole nother length because they're starting to consolidate all the lore for all the champions. I'm going to try and simplify this in the interest of time, but you guys can read the whole thing in the links in the description. He was not a jailer anymore. He's just he's a grumpy wizard warehouse supervisor. Is the best way I can put it. He's like this warden for magical artifacts for this ancient order in the Blessed Isles. And basically he gets really angry at the Order because he doesn't feel like he's getting the recognition he deserves. Years later, a mad king with his dead wife rocks up, asking if she can be saved, right? Never mind the fact that his wife has been like dead for a while now and she's like 70% decomposed. He's like, hey, I heard the Blessed Isles could save her, which is kind of true. They've got this thing called the Waters of Life, which can sometimes save people if they're close to death. But if they're already been and gone, that's it. There's no saving them, right? Now, Thresh doesn't tell him this. So Thresh is like, oh, the crazy bloke wants to go to the super magical turbo water and bring back, you know, the 70% of his wife that he's got left. It's supposed to be super against the rules, but you know what? Pfft, Gary and magical marketing's gonna hate this. Let's do it, right? Let's just do it. And then, in a horrible twist of events that reminds me of the Chimera scene from Full Metal Alchemist. If you guys have seen Full Metal Alchemist, you know what I'm talking about. The queen is brought back to life, but because she's already like, you know, halfway decomposed, she comes back. She's like begging for the king to kill her, let her go, right? So the king casts a spell to kill both him and the king and then keep their souls together forever. He like casts a spell and then all of the wizard warehouse goods that Thresh has got downstairs amplify the spell. Bada bing, bada boom. You have yourselves a Ruination and the Blessed Isles is now the Shadow Isles. Hey! So the Ruination turns Thresh into the spirit he is now. And it's pretty much the same from there, right? Wandering spirit, hook, lantern, tortures them mentally, you know, steals their soul, puts it in the lantern, right? That's pretty well all the same. There's even like nursery rhymes for children. That's how well known he is. That warn them about the Warden. Like that creepy song I played in the intro, that's about Thresh. Fun fact, also the flavor text in his cards. They're the lyrics to the nursery rhyme. Thresh also has this really long history with Lucian and Senna, but I'm going to leave that for another video. So if I do a Lucian video, I'll explain that, but just know that Lucian and Thresh really don't get along and Thresh killed his wife at one point. All right, that's the short version. So Thresh was released in Set 1 Foundations. He was one of the original champions. He's a support champion both in League and in Runeterra. And you can really see the similarities between his kit in League and the card mechanics in Runeterra. In Runeterra, Thresh is a 5-mana unit with a 3/6 stat line and the challenger keyword. His level up condition is I've seen 6+ units die. And these can be friendly units, they can be enemy units, whatever. Thresh does not care. As long as something's dying and he gets the soul, great, level up, let's go. The whole spirit thing is actually also his passive in League, where he gets stats for every soul that he collects rather than getting stats on each level up. You'll also see that when Thresh challenges a unit, there's this special animation where his hook goes out and drags the unit towards them. This is his cue from League. It's arguably his most iconic ability next to his lantern. I went back to League with my mate Jazz just so that you guys can see this ability in action.
So, funny thing, whenever you disappear in bot lane, they immediately need to know where you are. So they go to ward all the bushes. Here we go, watch, look. She's got anxiety not knowing where I am.
Where's the dick?
Watch, she will come forward to E this bush. Come on, Chief. Come on. Come on.
Oh no!
So once Thresh has got his 6 souls, he flips, right? Or he levels up. And the first attack he performs that game will pull a friendly champion from your hand or your deck and attack with it on board. The animation for this, by the way, is Thresh's W, which is his lantern. And that's like his next most iconic ability, I would say. And I got a clip of that as well.
Lantern.
Huge plays, bro.
Finally, you have Thresh's champion spell, which is the Box. The Box is a 4-cost spell that does 3 damage to every unit that was summoned that turn. So it's really good removal, but it's conditional. So if they don't play it that turn, then it does nothing to them. It's super effective when it works, but it really kind of only works when aggro decks are super popular or like you're summoning lots of little units all at one time. When it works though. The Box is also Thresh's ultimate in League, so he literally just creates a box and it damages and slows people. That's pretty cool. As a side note, Thresh was actually nerfed from his original form when Runeterra originally came out. Thresh, like OG Thresh, was a 5-mana 3/5 that only needed 3 deaths to flip, and he healed 1 for every unit that dies. You don't have to be a genius to know how broken that would have been. Callista is like super easy to flip, and she doesn't even heal, and she usually doesn't pull things as big as Thresh does. Thresh is pulling like huge champions. Callista's just like, hey man, have a 5/5. This is unless you're playing Grappler's deck where he pulls the They Who Endure, in which case Callista is also really scary. So how do I use Thresh? It's important to remember that Thresh is a support champion. Just running Thresh by himself won't get you very far. You're going to want to pair him with other champions that you want to summon with his level up ability. Usually these are high cost, high impact champions. Specifically, high impact champions you don't mind attacking with. Anything that's going to make your opponent go, oh shit, rather than, take a free trade. Tryndamere, great. Heimerdinger, bad. Darius, great. Fizz, once a flipped Thresh is attacked as well, that's it. Like, no more champions are going to be pulled from your hand or deck. It doesn't matter how many times you attack with that same Thresh. That's it. You get one. If that Thresh, dies, or, you summon another one, or, you bring one back with a Chronicler of Ruin, then he is going to summon another champion, though. So, for this reason, you tend to see Thresh paired up with cards like Rekindler to either bring Thresh or another high-value champion back into the game after they've died. Pre-flip, Thresh is a great counter to things like chump blockers and smaller early game units. His beefy health usually means he can tank a hit or two, 3 on a good day. And by the time he's done, he should have flipped. Thresh's leveled up form is incredibly powerful. So if your choice is between another value trade or tanking a couple of points of damage to keep Thresh alive, you're better off just kind of tanking the hit with your Nexus. If you just want to champ the value trade, you may as well run Vi. Vi does that job better than Thresh will. It's also for that same reason that Thresh decks often run a lot of smaller minions themselves, so that even in situations where they aren't facing an opponent with lots of small minions, they can run a heap of chump blockers in themselves and then get the souls anyway. It's not always like this, but you tend to see it a fair bit. Cards like Blighted Caretaker and Brood Awakening, for instance, are great for this sort of thing. And he also pairs well with cards that die multiple times. So think like Cursed Keeper and Hapless Aristocrat. There's 2 souls for the price of 1. Bargain. How do I refer to you in the video?
Rank 1 of EU, Master Player of the World.
okay, but do I call you Mav or GdayMav or what do I call you?
Rank 1 Mav.
Rank 1 Mav.
The guy that I'm on a call with now is GdayMaverick or Mav or Rank 1 Mav. He's the current Rank 1 in EU. He's a fellow Australian, and I asked him for his favorite Thresh deck for this video, and this is what he came up with. It's called Zombie Tiana. So,
I don't know if this list is like the perfect one though. But,
what do you mean you don't know if it's the perfect list? This is clearly the best list of all time.
Okay. So basically the whole concept is like Wraith Callers and Miss Wraith.
Right.
You want to summon up Wraith Caller on turn 4. Generally then you want it to die, and so you can bring it back with Mist Call.
Yep.
And then also Chronicle of Ruin.
Right.
You have Callista that levels up, and then Callista, once 3 allies have died, when she attacks, she'll bring back a Wraith Caller if it's died.
Right.
Obviously generating a lot of value. And in the late game, you can rekindle her to bring back Callista.
Because the Wraith
Callista,
Caller will bring back another Mist Wraith.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Mist Wraiths become like really big, and they can, just because they have fearsome, they can pressure a lot. Thresh comes into the fact where this deck has a lot of minions dying.
Yep.
And if you can level up Thresh, when he attacks, he'll pull a level up Callista out of your deck.
And then Callista could pull a Wraith Caller, which could call a Mist Wraith.
Yes. Or once Rekindler has died, Thresh will pull a Callista, that Callista will attack, and Callista will bring back a Rekindler, and then the Rekindler brings back a Callista if Callista has died. I've had situations where I've attacked like 5 times in one turn. Because also once Tiana is dead, Callista will bring back Tiana as well. When she attacks.
So clearly with all this value, this is just going to beat every matchup 100% of the time.
The actual weakest part of this deck was actually aggro, and aggro has been nerfed, which actually helps this deck as well. As you can see, I was playing some lifesteal cards. I can probably cut them now. You can add cards. You can even go more greedier, by the way. You can add in a Special Matron. Is a pretty interesting card. Special Matron, playing that, you can just summon a Tiana from hand or a Rekindler.
Do we
That's
maybe
problem.
want to like have a look at this deck, see if we can edit it slightly post patch, and then
No, it's just the best deck in the world.
I give it to you. You got me there.
I've also included 3 more lists down in the description. 2 are from Mogwai. 1 is a Thresh and Darius list, where you use Darius to close out the game with Atrocity. The other one's Frozen Death, where you want to be constantly bringing back Anivias and grinding them out with value. The last one is a deck from the lovely Silverfuse. It's a take on good old War Mothers. All of these decks are great choices and make excellent use of Thresh. Links, as always, down in the description. And that's about it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Every little bit helps. I hope to make more of these videos in the future. If there's enough interest, there's a lot. They take a while to put together. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see some more. I also stream live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Brisbane time. So you can see me record all of this footage live. Links to everything is in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hey,